everybody, and welcome back to a new video and a new week at Oxford. So it is now week 2 of classes, so kind of know my schedule now, my routine. I don't have classes on Fridays or Mondays, which is kind of nice. But then everything that I have gets very like congested into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I have a very busy middle of the week and then can kind of just do things at my own pace over a long weekend, which is nice. So we'll see how that works out for me, I guess. Today I have nothing like super formal. Well, I have like a few things going on today. So I'm going to head to the MCR to work today because I'm actually picking up a wine order or getting a wine order delivered for our formal exchange this week with Teddy Hall. I won't be attending it, but one of the other social sex is going to. But yeah, I'm getting wine delivered, so I need to take it up to the MCR. And they gave like a really big window for pickup, so I'm like, I'll just work from college today. But I have that. And then the Master of Pembroke is hosting like all the college leaders, so I think it's both the JCR and the MCR committees just for like a drinks reception this evening. So that should be quite fun. I was going to go to Maudlin tonight because they do like a weekly film screening, and today they're doing The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But neither Chloe or Anika are able to go, and I don't really want to go alone, at least not to the first one. So I'm not too fussed about it, especially because so I'd gotten cut off at home, but long story short, probably not going to go to the movie tonight because, yeah, nobody can come with me. I don't really want to go by myself for the first one, but I think it's going to be a fun thing to do in the coming weeks, and they've got some really good movies on the list, and I'm really excited because they're going to do a screening of Rocky Horror Picture Show on Halloween, which I've done that a few times with Megan back home, and it's really, really fun. We would always get dressed up, which I don't think I'll be doing for this one, because I don't know what the vibe is. I feel like you don't want to be the only person showing up in full Frankenfurter, but yeah, I really like it. I'm also curious if they're going to do like the yelling at the screen thing, because it's a very Rocky Horror thing, but it doesn't seem like a very British thing, so we'll see. Hi guys, so my day got a little off yesterday, but I worked in the MCR, then the wine order came in and I took it up and put it in our storeroom, and I realized that some of the bottles have corks, which is not ideal, because usually we just like, for exchanges, we'll set wine out on the table and people can kind of like just help themselves to it. So it's not the end of the world, it'll be fine, but next time I'll know to specify that we need screw tops. Because Chloe and I just like picked ones from the wine tasting that we went to, basically the cheapest ones, but hadn't thought about if they would have a cork or not. Although, this is my thing. Should an 8-pound bottle of wine have a cork in it? I think not, but you know, it's fine. I did some grocery shopping, came back here, ate, and then I had to go to the leaders' drinks, which was pretty chill. Yeah, they just had like Prosecco and some little appetizer type things out, which was nice. Not a ton of the MCR people were there, although I guess it's just that the MCR is a lot smaller than the JCR committee, so it just feels like we were severely outnumbered, but it was really nice. I think they said they host that like once a term, which is a cool thing to do. So yeah, today I have my paleography class. It's like the history of the book section, like manuscript studies, so it was kind of just readings to prepare for today. So I have that first, and then there's another like of the medieval research lecture series, which I think is about the Pearl manuscript this week, so that should be interesting. And yeah, that's my main plan. I might pop by to like the second dessert of the exchange dinner tonight, because one of the other social sex is doing the home leg, but we'll see. So after the Tuesday class for my paleography course, I headed to the library to do some readings for my English class, which involved Genesis A, B, Exodus, Daniel, Christ and Satan. I had to look up this word fecund because it's basically about producing a bunch of offspring, which was basically the entire section of one of these poems, was how everyone was having a whole mess of kids. Usually when I'm doing readings for class, I read along and then I take notes on the plot, and if I have like any sort of interesting thoughts about them so then I can reference it during class discussions, because Oxford English classes, or Oxford classes in general, seem to be very discussion based. At least everything that I've taken has been. So yeah, it's nice to have sort of an outline of what I thought at different sections of the text and connections that I drew, but also just like to keep track of the plot for myself, particularly with more dense poetic works. So that's just kind of my strategy for note-taking. Hi guys, so slight change of plans for the day. I went to my class, which was really good, and then I went to the medieval research seminar presentation that they do. This was about an author who wrote, the book is called Pearl, and it's based on the Pearl poem, which is a medieval poem that's essentially about this man who starts seeing his dead daughter, is like a very, very basic description of it. But she sort of wrote this book as like, it's a response, it's inspired by the Pearl poem. So it was really interesting and like very different from last week's seminar. So it was kind of interesting to hear more like artistic response to medieval literature. So I really enjoyed that. And then I worked at the English faculty for a bit, as you saw, but then we're hosting a Teddy Hall formal exchange at Pembroke tonight. I wasn't supposed to be involved with it, but our other social sec has gotten sick, so I'm now hosting the home leg. So I'm about to head to the MCR to set up the drinks reception because I'm the only one available to do that. And I want to get there early because I don't know if some of the wine that I ordered accidentally needs a wine opener, so I will need to track one of those down too. So I just like to go and get everything set up with plenty of time to spare. So yeah, this is my little last minute outfit. I got this dress at, I don't know if it's COS or COS, COS, whatever it is. We don't have it in Canada, at least not in Saskatchewan, but I really like it because it's like the drop waist thing. It feels kind of trendy but vintage, and I feel like it's a really good, like, easy event dress. And I have to wear my gown, so it goes with the black. But yeah, gonna head to the MCR and get set up. Hello guys, so it is Thursday now. I think the exchange went well last night. People were mingling, seemed to be having fun. Only had a couple of hiccups, and they weren't too major, I don't think, so I count it as a success. But I am very, very tired today. It feels like it should be Friday, but it's actually only Wednesday. I said it was Thursday, but it is Wednesday. And this morning I have like a research methods workshop thing for my course. I have no idea what it's going to entail, really. The only thing they told us to do today was to like bring a book, and that was kind of all the information they gave. Like, they were like, anything to do with medieval, anything that you found interesting, maybe something that got you into medieval studies. So I'm taking, it's really far away, I'm taking this book, The Wife of Bath by Marion Turner. So I got this last year, actually. It's not like what necessarily got me into medieval studies, but it's something that I found really interesting, and I think kind of represents like what I want to do to an extent. So there's like two parts to the book. So part one is sort of part one is called Medieval Wives of Bath, Ordinary Women in English Literature. So it's sort of talking about like how the wife of Bath represents like ordinary and real women in literature, and what the lives of women like her were maybe really like in the period. And then part two is Alison's Afterlife, 1400 to 2021. So it's talking about like, there's a chapter called When Shakespeare Met Alison, which is really interesting, which is comparing or sort of like seeing how the wife of Bath and Chaucer inspired Shakespeare, especially the character of Falstaff, as well as the entire play, The Merry Wives of Windsor, because it's the only play by Shakespeare that's really about like ordinary people. So like middle-class women, and the end is basically like that women are capable and should be trusted in roles of leadership, and they sort of like triumph within their marriages, which is really interesting. And then they also look at like Zadie Smith wrote a play based on The Wife of Bath. So yeah, a really interesting history, and I like looking at like how medieval characters have inspired contemporary writing, especially in fantasy. So yeah, I'm gonna take this one. I think I've talked to some other people and some of them are taking things like this, which is more like literary criticism, then other people are bringing more like sources or books of a medieval text. That didn't make much sense, but it's early. But basically today I'm going from like 9 until 6. I've worn this aggressively yellow shirt to try to perk myself up. So yeah, I'm going to get going. Okay, so I'm nearing the end of my day. I have one class left. It's from like 4 till 6. I found the reading, this is my English class. I think last week I said like I found the class really interesting, but the readings weren't necessarily my jam. We were reading Genesis, Exodus, and Daniel. So they're translations of Old English poems, which are based on the stories in the Bible. It's not like a transcription of the Bible stories, but like it's telling the same story, just in like a poetic format. I feel like that was a very confusing way of describing what it is, but there you go. So yeah, I've never been like exposed to those really before. I knew a lot of the stories because I feel like people just kind of know them, but have never studied them. So it was kind of illuminating, I guess. I know that like you're supposed to read in the context, but I cannot with the Adam and Eve. So yeah, it feels very different to what we were talking about last week, so I'm curious to see sort of how the class goes and everything, but they were two very like long readings because we're basically reading like 2 books. But yeah, I'm excited to see for class this week because I sort of enjoyed the readings more, so I think since I didn't enjoy the readings last week but really liked the class, I feel like then I'll really like our discussion today, so should be good. Good morning, guys. So it's the next day now. I had a nice evening. So after my class ended at 6, it was really interesting. We were talking about, like I said, Genesis. We mostly talked about Genesis A and then Christ and Satan. So we'd had like Genesis B, Exodus, and Daniel on the readings as well, but we didn't talk about them in class. So we kind of just focused on the 2. But yeah, it was interesting. Kind of like, I guess, interesting to talk about this kind of things from like a literary perspective. But yeah, I thought that it was an interesting class and something that I hadn't like read before, or I know those stories because Western culture, I feel like most people know those kinds of stories. But yeah, so it's interesting to read like a poetic version of them. But afterwards, I met up with Anika for dinner and then we watched a movie. We watched The Wild Robot and I was like, this is such an unsatisfying ending for a children's movie, but it was good. It was fun. Anika is very, Anika is very up on her Disney. This was DreamWorks though, but so we watched that, had a good night. And I was going to get to sleep in this morning, which is like my only sleep in this week, but we had a fire drill at 7, so that was unfortunate. But now, before I have to leave, I'm going to try to tidy up my room because the last couple days have been so like go, 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 and I've needed multiple outfit changes for the things that I've been doing. My room has turned into this. So it definitely needs a bit of a tidy, so I'm going to do that now. And then today I just have a couple of like meetings. So someone is going to run like sort of a PhD Q&A session and then a PhD application Q&A. I don't know if it's going to be very much tailored to like applying to Oxford or PhDs more broadly. The person running it is involved in the course. He's coming to the end of his DPhil here. So obviously like he applied here, got in here. But you know, I'm sure applied to a lot of other schools. But yeah, I'm curious like to hear what they'll think about applying to like Oxford versus American or Canadian schools, if they'll have much like insight into that or like what the differences are and everything. So yeah, should be informative. And then I have a meeting with one of my dissertation supervisors after, so it'll be the first time we meet each other, I think, just to kind of chat, like plan out what supervision will look like, and what I'm kind of thinking for my dissertation. So yeah, I get two supervisors, one from the history faculty, one from the English faculty. So I'm meeting her, she's in the history faculty. And then I have my old English class in the evening. So bit of a busy day, but should be good. Faculty after the meeting with my supervisor. She seems absolutely amazing, kind of basically focusing on like what is kind of the goal of each term, and gave me a really great reading list to start working on. So basically this term is kind of like narrowing down what text I want to focus on, what my central question is. And then the PhD info session was also really good. It was just kind of like pros and cons of doing a PhD. What goes into the application process is very much tailored to like Oxford and UK applications, but kind of talked about pros and cons of American versus UK. So still really helpful. Yeah, and they said, you know, come to us if you have any other questions and help with stuff. So that was good and informative, and just like nice to sort of feel like you have the support while you're going through the process, because it does come up very fast once you start a course, because we don't start until beginning of October. It's like you're only a couple weeks in and you're already starting to have to put together like references and stuff, which it always feels so awkward asking for a reference from someone who like maybe hasn't read a lot of your written work before. But I actually talked to my supervisor about that, because she kind of asked and gave a lot of helpful advice on that, and like what sort of they're looking for, I guess, or like what they could say and like how to go about that, considering like maybe people on my current course, you know, haven't spent as much time with me as like people in my undergrad, but what they could say and everything, and why it's still like worth asking them. So that was good. Hi guys, so as you will have seen yesterday, I think I left off, I was working in the library. I was working on my translation, which I didn't do great at, but I didn't completely tank it, so I call that a win. The language class is interesting. I do think that like probably if you'd studied any kind of language, a few people in the class have done Latin before, but I think really having any sort of training in like learning another language would really help, even though this is like Old English, so it's, you know, not a language that people actually like speak to each other now, because it's just things like, you know, changing like the form of the noun changes its like meaning and whatever, and I can get that when it's like laid out in the chart and everything, but then when you apply it in an actual sentence, like when you're trying to translate it, it kind of all just flies out of your head at first, obviously, because like this is very introductory stuff, so it's not like I have a lot of practice doing it, but I think that you would pick it up faster if you'd done something like that before, whereas, so I can see that being helpful even if like the language that you learned before, it's not like similar to Old English necessarily, but it's just that process. I can see being helpful, so yeah. I think I'm starting to recognize a few things more readily now though, which is good. But yeah, afterwards I came back home, made dinner, and then I joined over Teams for our committee, our MCR committee meetings, so had that. And then yeah, had a quiet night in. So this morning I don't have any classes on Fridays, so this morning I've just been doing stuff at home. I desperately needed to do laundry, so I was doing that, just kind of like puttering around and getting stuff done here. I'm going to read the short story because we postponed book club this week, so we have the short story tonight. I don't know, I think we're reading Oranges, which is the title of the short story collection, so this is the story that's called that. I don't know if I'm going to completely make it to book club because we're starting it at 7. And I'm actually doing something really random this evening. So my friend May sent this to me, and was like, I signed up for this, thought you might find thought it was interesting. And because the business school is hosting, I believe he's the COO. Yeah, I think he's the COO and not the CEO of Bottega Veneta, is coming and doing a talk. So I signed up to go because, I mean, it's free and I thought it was interesting. I obviously really like clothes. I think the fashion industry is really, really interesting. So I think it will be cool to hear him speak. He's also worked at, you know, YSL and other luxury fashion brands. So because he's more, and this will obviously be more from like the business side than a creative perspective. So it would be super cool to hear like a creative director of, you know, a brand speak, which I might be able to do later in the year because I'm pretty sure the Oxford Union is getting Vera Wang to come and speak. So that would be really cool to go to later in the year. But yeah, I'm going to do that this evening, and I think the talk is probably just going to be about an hour, so I might just be late to book club or I might not make it, but we'll see. I'm gonna read the story anyway. And then afterwards, we have bar night at Pembroke on Friday, so I think I'm gonna go this week because I don't know if I've been to one yet other than the Bop. So I'm gonna go to bar night. It's gonna be like Halloween themed, so, which I think will just be like the drinks and stuff. I don't know if the bartenders maybe got some Halloween decorations, but it'll be fun. And yeah. So I thought about doing something for the talk tonight that is completely unnecessary, but I thought it might be kind of fun. Because obviously I don't own anything from Bottega Veneta because expensive. And honestly, even if I was, you know, purchasing designer stuff willy-nilly, I don't know that this would be like a brand that I would go for, because I feel like their most recognizable thing are their purses, which, like, if I was gonna buy a designer bag, it wouldn't be a Bottega Veneta one, I don't think. But I wasn't really sure what their clothing looked like. And I was like, oh, I don't have anything, but maybe I could like dress in the style of Bottega Veneta. Maybe. So I just like went to their website and was looking through stuff. And it seems like most of their things are like pretty classic, but then occasionally have kind of like architectural cuts, like this kind of interesting / weird skirt right here. But a lot of it, yeah, is very simple kind of designs and like neutral colors, apart from the occasional more random like fashion-y thing like this. But yeah, I was like, I could probably do something semi-inspired. It won't be clear to anybody but me, but you know, something to do. So that's what I'm gonna go for. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, so I think this is gonna be the base. I don't know how I feel about these like socks with this skirt because I think it's a bit too long, but I kind of just wanted to wear them, so we're going with it. And then I have like 2 jacket options. So I've got this like plaid blazer that I think I've had since I was like 14. It's got elbow patches, so very Oxford. I like the mixed patterns. I don't know if they go together great. Like, I like the top and I like the bottom, but I don't know if like with the jacket, if it looks good with the skirt. Because the issue with this skirt is that it can go from like cast member of Big Love to like cool on a dime. So, and then I have this one from Zara that I think could be cute with it. Or I could wear like my giant, not my giant, but like my oversized leather jacket, but I think with the skirt, that would be too much oversizedness for me. Okay, so this is what I decided on. I sent out a consult and my sister picked this jacket, so that's what we're gonna go with. And I actually think it kind of looks like a couple of the ones that they have on their website, but you know, isn't like 1,700 euros, so that was a win, I guess. Morning, everybody. So I'm wearing a top. It's just strapless. Last night the talk was really interesting. It was only about like, I think he only spoke for like 10, maybe 15 minutes, and it was just like about time. So it was like a standard, I feel like, sort of motivational speech kind of thing. And then they did do like a longer Q&A, like that was probably over an hour long. And it was about like, it was more about the business, I guess. So really interesting. They sell 320-pound candles. I don't care how much money you have. If you look at a candle, even if like that much money is just like nothing to you, if you look at a candle and see that it's 320 pounds and you don't think, wow, the markup on that is obscene, and you don't buy it, you shouldn't have money. That's stupid. No candle is worth like 600 Canadian dollars. So yeah, I thought I will not probably be purchasing anything from Bottega Veneta ever because I believe that's the cheapest thing that they sell, but it was cool to hear him speak. And then a lot of the people there are like MBAs and stuff who like want to get into like the luxury sector, so a cool event. But today I'm heading into London with Anika because we're going to go to a show called A Face in the Crowd. She really wanted to go because they had like sales and stuff on it, and there's an actor that she really wants to see performing in it, which is, I think he played like the Phantom in a anniversary performance, and then he also played, I think, Gleb in the Anastasia stage show. So he's gonna be in it, and I looked up the synopsis and it sounds interesting. It's basically about a guy who kind of like inadvertently becomes like a radio personality and like involved in politics. I actually don't know if it's I assume it's a musical because the guy obviously like doing Phantom and stuff is a singer. So I assume it's musical. And then this evening, our friend Michael is having a housewarming party because he just moved to London. So we're gonna go to that in the evening, and it's Halloween themed, and from photos that I've seen, he goes all out on his parties, so I think it will be quite fun. That is the plan for the day, so I'm gonna head out and meet Anika. I did go back to Anthropologie and get this top. I feel like it's a really good, like, you know, there's this influencer in Calgary who did like a whole series on going out tops in like your mid-20s because she was like, what are you supposed to wear? And I feel like this would fit that vibe.
Hi vlog.
This is Anika and I's most recent impulse decision. We walked off the train station, said that restaurant looked good, and then we were like, what if we got pie?
So it's New York cheesecake, so we'll see how New York it is. And then apple and cinnamon pie.
With custard.
With custard.
We're literally right on the very edge of the stage.
I'm in shock. I'm so excited.
Anika is very excited because she knows to see the main actor.
It's Ramin Karimloo.
Okay, because I said he was in Phantom, like an anniversary show.
He was in Les Mis. He was in, I think, Miss Saigon.
Anastasia.
Anastasia, he originally did.
He was Gleb.
Yes, Gleb and Anastasia. He was in Les Mis like 3 different times as 3 different characters. It's really cool.
All named Jean Valjean. Oh, and we like the cheesecake is the thing to go with if you go to Black and Blue.
And it had maple syrup, like real maple syrup.
It prompted her to text her sister to bring her a maple sucker when she comes to visit. So we both really liked the show. Anika's very jazzed because we had a successful stage door. Both of the leads came out, but she immediately smudged both of their signatures.
They're like mostly okay, but I got too excited.
I really like the show though. I really like the music. I feel like it was more country vibes than like show tune, you know?
Yeah.
My sister asked me, she was like, do you listen to anything other than show tunes once? Because I was in charge of the aux when we were going to Edmonton, and I was so offended.
Now you can listen to country.
Yeah,
she
country
won't
show
know.
tunes. To show off Anika's Paddington fashion.
Hello, hello.
Anika is going as like a vampire to Michael's party, and I'm going as a really hot girl who had a new shirt.
Yeah, so our costumes are really great.
Yes. High effort. We're basically Heidi Klum during your Halloween parties. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Hi everybody. So it is Sunday now. I had a sleep in this morning because we got back a little late. Had a really awesome busy day in London. I would really recommend A Face in the Crowd. It was such a good show. The music was kind of, like I said, it wasn't super musical theater-y. It was very like country rock kind of music. It was really fun. And yeah, the show, like we weren't like neither of us knew a whole lot about it. I just Googled like the basic Wikipedia plot summary, and yeah, so it takes place, I feel like it was like the 40s in the States, and so they're like in the South. This guy, he's like a drifter, sort of becomes like a radio personality because this woman her whole thing is wanting to put like real everyday people on the radio. So he gets like a huge following, becomes a TV personality, and then like everything kind of goes to his head. He starts like influencing elections. He's starting to like help this senator run for president, and yeah, thinks that he's gonna be VP, and it's like a whole thing. But it's like really funny, but also like you can tell they staged it because it feels rather timely. But yeah, really good show. The cast is incredible. So yeah, that was really great. And then Michael's party was super fun, very chill. We came back at like, we took the 10:50 train back from London Paddington because that's like, yeah, so like the last train from London to Oxford is at like 11:30, and we just didn't want to like chance taking the last train just like in case something happened. There are like other ways to get back to Oxford. I don't think that this name makes any sense, but there's the Oxford Tube, which is not a train, it's the buses that run from Oxford to London, and they run like basically 24 hours a day, I think. But they're just like not as pleasant because buses here generally aren't, I think because the roads are so windy and everything, and it takes a lot longer. So yeah, we wouldn't have been stranded, but we were like, let's just head back for the 10:50 train. So got back later because it's the long one because it makes like all of the stops. But yeah, made it back here and went to bed. And this morning I've been cleaning up because my room was a slight disaster from just clothes getting everywhere. And this morning I think I'm going to try to head to the Independent Cafe to do some stuff, but I'm not like sure what my chances are of getting a seat because it can be like quite busy on Sundays. So I'm gonna like do a drive-by, see how full the seating area is, and then go get a coffee, or like if it's really full, maybe I'll just like not sit, I'll just like take one and go to the MCR or something, not sure. And then I think I have to go grocery shopping, which is terrible, but apparently must be done. So that's what I'm gonna do this afternoon. So I was in there reading about bestiaries all afternoon, and Anika texted me if I wanted to meet her for supper because she was at the new theater for like a Hans Zimmer film score concert. So I'm just at Doris Street waiting for her to come out. We're gonna find some.
Hi.
Anika's review of the show is it was good. Would recommend.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. So had dinner with Anika at Gourmet Burger Kit, just like a few little snacky things. So it was good. But she's off, she has something to finish at lab. So I've decided to just come to the MCR and hang out before a second dessert because I don't want to like walk back and forth. So yeah, just gonna kind of do stuff here, do some more reading probably. I just got back from second dessert, which was really fun because it was Halloween themed. So the food reps really splashed out literally everything except the cheese was Halloween candy or Halloween themed. So that was really fun. Pretty busy too, so it's good. It's been pretty well attended so far this year, which is nice. But yeah, I've just got back and it's like past 11, almost 11:30 now. So I'm going to get ready for bed and get ready for the week ahead. So I'm gonna say goodbye here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.